Hello. I'm talking about Glenn McCrory now because according to the Daily Mail, he's been charged for abusive language after calling two teenage waitresses pet. It doesn't surprise me that it's teenagers who complained. Now, I don't know quite the facts of the situation. It may be that they had asked him to not call them pet and he had shouted at them, but it doesn't say that here. And I just want to, the problem is teenagers are being taught at school, or rather they're being taught before they're teenagers, that the whole world is against them and that they have to stand up for their rights. But they're not taught how to do that. They're just taught to get offended. Being offended is practically a religion round here at the moment. Former world boxing champion Glenn McCrory has been arrested and charged with using threatening and abusive behaviour after allegedly calling two teenage waitresses pet. McCrory comes from Durham, and that's an area where everybody calls everybody pet. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think those girls might have felt they've had their moment of power and they exploited that. Oh, hair in my eye. Okay. McCrory, 57, is said to have insulted the two girls at the £5,000 per head VIP dinner held at the Academy of Excellence on September the 25th. Right. There's Crory. He's a good-looking fellow, you know, especially for a boxer. No cauliflower ears. His nose seems in reasonable shape. Well, more or less in reasonable shape. Anyway, McCrory had been a guest of honour. It doesn't sound much like he was that much of honour, does it? At the dinner held... Now, this is rather amusing. If you know where Tottenham is and its demographics, Tottenham's Lily White House. I don't know why they haven't changed the name there. Before Anthony Joshua's world heavyweight match against Ukrainian Oleksandr Usyk at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium 8 months ago, an official complaint was made to the Metropolitan Police about the former Sky Sports pundit's alleged remarks, the Mirror reported. Oh, it's funny. Oh, the Mail is reporting what the Mirror reports. I have to point this out. There's a lot of passing on. This is entirely off the subject, but if you notice, you'll see lots of papers reporting what other papers have reported. In some cases, that's excusable. In other cases, it just means that a bad story about somebody, which is not true, gets reported in some minor paper and then sort of goes up the chain until some big paper is saying, oh, X said Y, and they didn't. It was just a made up or a misunderstood story reported in an unimportant paper and was the result of an untrained or unskilled or downright vindictive non-professional reporter. That's happening a lot, and you'll see a lot of stories about people that follow that pattern, and we all have to be very careful of this. Anyway, so the Mirror reported this, and now the Mail is reporting what the Mirror reports. Mr. McCrory, oh dear, was charged in March and appeared at Highbury magistrates last month accused of using threatening, abusive or insulting words to cause harassment, alarm or distress, the news website reported. And so far as I have been able to ascertain, the threatening, abusive or insulting words to cause harassment, alarm or distress was the word pet, addressed to two waitresses, teenagers, and I think the fact that they're teenagers is probably important here. And pet is a vernacular in Durham. Yeah, you know, men call other men pet sometimes as well in that area. It's just the thing there. In fact, there was, I think it was BBC, series about some workmen who had British workmen at a time when there was work to be found in Germany. They were construction workers of some sort. I never saw the series, but I do remember it was something that a lot of people saw. You know, they made an effort to see it. And it was called Auf Wiedersehen, Pet, because these guys had gone over to work in Germany, and it was about the cultural problems and work problems and that sort of thing. So it was called Auf Wiedersehen, Pet. There was obviously no insult meant at all in that title. It's BBC, after all. They're very careful. Mind you, that was, I don't know how long ago that was. It could have been 20 years ago. Mr. McCrory appeared at Highbury Magistrates. Oh yeah, the threatening, abusing or insulting words. Here's a nice picture of the Lily-White Centre. I'm really surprised they haven't changed the name of that. He was bailed. So it means he could have spent time in jail for calling these girls pet. At no point does any report suggest that he touched them in any way, you know, I mean, aggressively, that he pushed them or punched them or slapped them or anything. No, he, so far as I have been able to see here, he called them pet. But even if he'd shouted at them, this seems to me totally bizarre. Now, I'll give you an example. You see, that's the problem with teenagers, and that's why I said it's teenagers. They don't know how to handle this. They just assume everything is an insult and report it to the police. And they get caught by the same things. They don't realise, but they are perpetuating an idea that when you feel a little bit offended, you call the police. And you get the law involved instead of dealing with it yourself. So when we moved, we were here a while, and then I had to go to the doctor. Now I'm going to make up names. For the purposes of this particular video, I am Jane Smith, and the doctor is Rajev Ganesh. Dr. Ganesh, all right? I walked through his office door and he said, good morning, Jane. Now, I don't like being called by my first name in a situation like that. And I'll tell you why, because I am supposed to call him Dr. Ganesh, and that changes the dynamic between us, doesn't it? It puts me in a minor or a minority, no, in the position of a minor, and M-I-N-O-R. So I didn't like that. Now, I didn't get all offended. Obviously, I think people in the NHS are taught to use people's first names because it seems more friendly. And it would be if you could refer to the doctor by his or her first name, but you can't. They take offence at that. So when I walked through the door and he said, hello, Jane, and he was perfectly friendly, and I said, I don't mind you calling me Jane, so long as you don't mind me calling you Rajev. And he sat back. I said, otherwise you can call me Mrs. Smith. So he said, is there any particular reason for that? And I said, simply because I am paying you the respect of calling you Dr. Ganesh, and I would expect you to pay me the respect of calling me Mrs. Smith. So he just nodded and we carried on with the consultation. When I left the office, as I went out, I said, thank you very much, Dr. Ganesh. And he said, no, I have to thank you. And I said, why? He said, you taught me something today. Now, I could have got all offended. I could have gone in the door and said, and when he said, hello, Jane, I could have said, don't you call me Jane. That's very disrespectful, or something like that. But I know he didn't intend to be disrespectful. It's just the training he got. And if I didn't like being called pet by a hunk like McCrory, then I would have said pet back to him. Okay, pet. Or something like that. But you know, I wouldn't have got all... Now, you know, I mean, if you'd referred to, I'm not sure, body parts or something along those lines, I would probably have taken offence. But that's a personal reference. The word pet in that situation was just a friendly way of talking, definitely from high to low, but then he's the customer and you're the waitress. It is from high to low. Anyway, that's my thoughts about the Daily Mail's comment. Right, so he was a cruiserweight. A cruiserweight? I don't know what a cruiserweight is. Shows you how much I know about boxing. Okay, well, that's it. I am Grannyopteryx. I am to be found on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. Please like this video and share it with your doctors and any boxers you might know. Also, any teenagers, perhaps. I am on @Grannyopteryx on Twitter, Gab and Parler, which is where I tell you when I've uploaded a new video. And that's it from me. Until next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Grannyopteryx design or Grambo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.grannyopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share, share, share.